The news review segment this morning on Power Breakfast. My name is Charles Odhiambo, and it's my pleasure once again to sit around ladies on a Wednesday morning, a ladies' day. On my immediate left, a lady who doesn't want to be referred to as a perennial politician. She is actually seasoned in this area. Rosa Bui. Rosa, welcome.
Thank you.
Apart from that, you also hold a position in ODM, right?
Yes, National Deputy Organizing Secretary.
National Deputy Organizing Secretary. Thank you very much. And right in front of me, which is Elachi. Senator, how are you?
Very fine.
South Rift looked hot. You turned to be an MC.
Well, it was not hot. It was good. The only thing that, and I love Kenyans for that, is they realized there were so many aspirants, and they said they cannot be on the podium. And they don't want to hear aspirants. So you first cool them down and tell them these are your own aspirants. They'll be coming to request for votes.
So Kenyans can really speak.
Well, yeah, they are speaking. This time around, I want to tell politicians, if you have not done your work, you realized even when the senator stood, they just told her, wewe masaa yako ilikwisha kitambo, themselves. So he could not speak. He had to sit down. If you are deciding a seat and they feel that is not what we think you can be, they even
tell you which one.
So some were being told, wewe ni senator, wacha kutusumbua na governor. And I liked that.
Quite interesting.
Interesting.
On our headlines today, the Daily Nation has the story about the pathetic state in our hospitals. Quite a misery. Hospitals becoming factories of death and pain. The same headline, more or less the same, is on the Standard, where it says Uhuru to Mam as strike talks stall. And the Business Daily, and which has the story we'll be starting with, MPs to walk away with 6.7 million shillings each after serving for 4 years. Quite some money here you have, Beatrice. The story says members of parliament will walk away with 6.7 million shillings each at the end of their term next year, drawing from the 2.8 billion that the treasury had allocated for their service gratuity. Apparently, this is money that an ordinary Kenyan who earns an average 131,000 shillings per year will earn after a whooping 57 years. You take it away after 4 years, what do you say?
First, I would want to understand how was it calculated. You know, there are some things some of us will not even understand. Because in the Senate, we don't deal with these money bills. So I'd want to look at how did the National Assembly come to it, what is the package all about, and then I'm able to really debate on it and say, is it right, is it wrong? Because in some of these things, I might say wrong, right, and you'll find that it is because, you remember this is a short parliament. So I don't know whether now Serem is trying to say, because of that, now you calculate and do all these things.
Because when you say this is a short parliament, I don't agree with you. Because initially, right from the start, when the MPs were applying for this job, or everybody was contesting to become MPs, they knew that the next general election was going to be on August 8th. So that August 8th, 2017. At that particular time, they had an option to say, this is only going to be for 4 years or 4.5 years, let me not involve myself. So they did get into parliament knowing very well that their term was going to come to an end by August 8th, 2017. On top of that, the constitution is very clear. The constitution does not say that members of parliament will serve for 5 years. The constitution is clear in saying that there will be general elections in the 5th year. In the 5th year can be after 4 years, 2 months, 4 years, 3 months, because then you've begun your 5th year. So I think Serem trying to please the MPs by paying for that time out that they've not actually served for full 5 years is also playing politics, because there was no guarantee that the MPs were going to serve for full 5 years. Elections will be in the 5th year. And not after 5 years.
Fair enough, but what Senator Elachi is saying is that she needs to understand the finer details of this, because this apparently was approved in the National Assembly.
She's actually paying for time, thinking that they've not served for 5 years, so paying for that buffer between August 8th, 2017 to March 2018, which is just plain politics, because it is not even given or guaranteed in the constitution.
But socially...
But having said that also, I think the other thing going forward, even as Parliament, because when you look at that interpretation that Rosa says, there is importance for us to go back for a very clear interpretation of how many years Parliament serves. Because if we continue the way we are now moving, trust me, Parliament will always be 4 years. So to make sure we don't have such things happening, we just need to go back, do a better interpretation of that clause so that it is 5 years, 5 years. And also it cleans up, because you realize also the MCAs, the Constitution is very clear that they must serve a term of 5 years. Then in between there is a sort of lack of interpretation when you say all political seats must go together into an election. So those are very critical clauses Kenyans must look at as we move forward.
Be that as it may, we are looking at a situation where this is money a normal Kenyan would have to toil for 57 years. Is the representative being fair?
For me, and that's why I'm saying...
Whether it's serving 4 years or 5 years.
Because within the 5 years, you will not have been able to click, this is what is happening. You see now, because of 4 years, you have clicked that. So for me, that's why I'm saying for Kenyans to look at it in a better way, we have to do a better interpretation for Parliament. Not just even the next Parliament that Rosa will serve in will have the same challenges. So as she comes in, because I know she...
And I wonder if she would raise these questions. If she
would. Even raise... You know, Charles, for me, this is what is causing problems in the country now. And I don't know if it's premature to talk about it, but when you see members of Parliament, well, each of the 290 in the National Assembly, plus the nominated ones, and each of the 47 senators, plus the 16 nominated ones, each of them walking away with 6.7 million. And other Kenyans are struggling. And we can see what's going on in the country now with the strike. You want to tell those people or Kenyans who think their terms are way below what they think they should be, that there's no money, when another segment of the society is enjoying so much money that most of Kenyans cannot even count up to 6.7 million. So this is the problem. This is the contradiction that's causing the problems that we are currently experiencing in the country.
Luckily enough, like the senator said, the chicken are coming home to roost. Kenyans are now beginning to realistically decide who.
And at the same time, even as we move like this, I want Kenyans now to start observing every institution that we have. Because I know, as much as we are talking about this, there is one Kenyan somewhere who is earning 4 million per month. There is another Kenyan somewhere, 2.5 per month. So for us to serve every Kenyan and to feel that even at the lower to the upper, we are sort of not so far and not so... I mean, when you look at now all that, it is unfortunate, very unfortunate. And I would wish Serem also can now look at all the packages and give Kenyans, you know, so that we don't just be talking about one segment and we forget very many others who do nothing and receive. Because for me, politicians, right now I know I have 700 children who are supposed to be going back to high school, and I'm going to add more who are now coming in for Form 1. And so there are many other things that you have to look at when we are talking about all these things. And it is very interesting in our country. But those are some of the things that we say. We don't do it because you want to do it. It is voluntary, and therefore it is how you feel committed in serving and doing
stuck to your mandate. You wouldn't be telling us about the 700.
No, those you can do even before you become a Mheshimiwa, and I know Rosa does. So that's why I'm saying, all I would wish Kenyans, that if you are within a place that you can help others, let's help those parents also, that whatever she gets little is just to help her in her house. Fair and enough. The rest we can
in your words, Senator Beatrice Elachi, unfortunate, very unfortunate. I would say as unfortunate as the report we have, a special report in the Standard on page 11 that says your child may now be gambling more than doing their homework.
True.
How is that?
You know, it is only in our country where we have given a free space, complete free space with no regulation, no laws. These things...
Now that's a lawmaker saying no laws.
Yeah. Because I'll be told the Constitution says, Senator Elachi, you cannot. The moment it goes to the National Assembly, it is sat on and they tell you that was a money bill, they are the ones to restart it. So that's the most painful part of our Constitution also.
Don't you think your mandate is only confined to the Senate?
It is not confined, because when you look at the word parliament, parliament in our constitution, you can count to 300 times. National Assembly and Senate is not more than 20 or 15 times. Meaning, Parliament as an institution, as a legislator, you have a right to bring in any bill that you feel can help Kenyans and can support institutions to do the right thing and bring in good policies. Now, when you look at these things called SportPesa, I don't know, all those gambling things. If you ask me today, if I want to own an institution, a casino or anything, I wish we had a law that says you need to have your own 1 billion first put in, so that when we are doing SportPesa, it's not my money, because Kenyans even forget Safari.
SportPesa is actually a farm which we are not talking about here. We are talking about generally gambling.
Because we don't want also to advertise it so much. One of the things as a country we must ask ourselves, do we really need to have a gambling country where young people believe right now, because of what is happening in the gambling space, they would want to make money for Christmas through that? But how much do you spend on your mobile phone for you now to win the shilling? It is exactly the same amount that you have gambled, that you have used on mobile phones, that is going back to pay you. So until we learn that, until as parents, until we instill, and you know the most unfortunate thing, it is our Christian children who are doing this. Our Muslim brothers will never allow their children to gamble.
Societal values.
Because of values.
Rosa, the story, this is after research that was conducted by Consumer Insight, and it says 7 in every 100 primary school pupils gamble today. They either do it through backroom, neon-lit casinos, or estate kiosks, television screens, or mobile phones.
Yeah, I think what it is because of harsh economic times, everybody is trying to make ends meet through whatever means they can. So the quickest means now is to take advantage of children. Okay, you give them something that's going to entice and excite them, and you know they'll be coming to spend their money, and then in the end you make a little more. And that is why you have so many of these gambling outlets sprouting even within the estates. Almost all the estates have all these gambling outlets, and a child who has a little money probably for lunch would rather save that money and use it in the evening when they're on their way back home to gamble. You know, so because of that constraint in with finances and the desire to make more, we have sort of let down on our values. We don't care what we are doing to children, whether they are our children or other people's children, but we are destroying them because we are teaching them issues like gambling too early in life. So instead of rushing home to do their homework and to concentrate on their homework, a child will spend time gambling and go back home at around 6 o'clock saying there was a jam or they just got delayed in school, and therefore having too little a time to concentrate on their school.
What would you do to reverse this or mitigate this?
For me, I'd say I think there was an attempt, and probably Beatrice would be in a better position to talk about this. There was an attempt by the National Assembly to put restrictions on gambling, just to curb this sprouting of gambling outlets all over the estates and all over the country. But I think it was defeated. Yeah,
there was a move spearheaded by Game Member of Parliament.
Yes, but we cannot be a scot-free country where we just do anything and do it anyhow. There must be restrictions if we are to better our
society. Are we so vulnerable as the lawmakers? Because there was a move by Game Member of Parliament Jacoyo Midiwo to put stringent measures to control gambling, but it fell along the way somehow. It
fell because the politicians knew.
The lawmakers.
The lawmakers. They knew very well that some of them will just go back to the same companies and ask for a kickback.
So then what do we do?
And
where lies the help for the common mwananchi?
Not just, I would say, where do women now, as mothers, what do we feel? Because one, I know also it's our responsibility because of values, because there's no way you would want your child to imagine everything is a shortcut in life. There's a way you have to instill a value that you must struggle and get what you, and when you struggle and get, you preserve. You are able to have that sustainability. But if you do a shortcut, you will always have challenges. There's no sustainability in your life, and you will end up also having stress because you're wondering, how come so and so has moved and I'm just still here? And those are maybe the challenges Rosa is talking about, this stressful life. But in terms of now telling my child now she's supposed to vendor for us through this, I think as a parent I'll be very I'll be different. I don't know. I might not be part of my child telling me now I have a phone, I'm gambling. I know I'm a bit and I'm sorry to say that, a bit strict, because even my child who is in Form 1 to date, when he comes home is when he gets his phone. But when they're, so it depends on how also we are instilling this, and that's why I say.
So you're taking it away from the lawmakers only, and also bringing it home to the
you
common
have to
the
bring
parent?
it to your house. This TV, you must also have your rules and regulations. There are times it is there. There are times you can say no. I know I was pleased and I also surprised by my colleague, Member of Parliament of Kamukunji, and he told me, in our house we don't have a TV. I said, what? He said, yes, there are rules and regulations. Then and not him alone. So I've gone back home. I have also relatives who are Muslims. And you know, I look and I say, okay, what is this that us Christians are not doing right? Because their children will listen. And I think it's because when they go to madrasa, they follow what they are being taught. Now, for us children, you remember the days when we had a Sunday school on Saturday, where you will go, like now in Christmas times, everyone is at a church trying to read, and you revise and revise until you cram this verse in the Bible, and you find children will really enjoy that. Today, in most churches,
there's no time for that.
You won't find that.
That's the most unfortunate thing is the end result of this is that we'll be bringing up children who do not believe in hard work.
Actually, it's a vicious cycle.
Yes, children who believe
the adults themselves don't believe in hard work.
They're shortcuts and they're quick fixes, and will eventually be a nation of hustlers, if I'd use that word. Hustlers who think they can just do this and get money, because we're teaching our children, we're exposing our children to gambling, to show them that you don't have to go the long hog of going to school and getting into gainful employment. You can do quickies, you know. That is the problem. And you know what comes with those quickies and hustling, you know, it just enhances corruption. Because when you're hustling, whatever comes your way, you go through it. You know?
If it's gambling, you do it, so long as, in other words, the end justifies the means.
That is, the end justifies the means, and that's what we're exposing our children to very early in life.
Quite unfortunate. I'm happy at least this is happening at a time when we are being told in 2 days' time, on Friday this week, top students in this year's KCPE will know the national schools they've been selected to join by Friday this week. It can now be revealed by the Standard on page 8 that the selection process began in earnest with top education officials, and they're just winding up on that exercise. I don't know what you ladies have to say about the change in the education program end of this year.
The last time we were here, I said that I would never credit the CS Matiang'i for having come up with the teachers' salary agreement. But I want to say today that this shift with the exam in terms of the strict rules that governed the performance of the exams to curb cheating, and the fact that we've been able to see our results coming almost a month earlier, and the children going to Form 1 to join the other children from January 9, I think it takes credit. And what this shows is we should never throw up our hands in the air and say, what can I do? You can actually do something, because by the time Matiang'i took over, exams had lost credibility, total credibility, because in the evening you'd be sitting in front of your television set and you see the paper that you're going to sit the next day. But he's actually brought credibility back to the exams, and I think all credit goes to him.
What do you say about the usual perception by parents that, oh, my Form 1 child will be going to school in February, and so I have to start looking for money at the end of December after Christmas?
First, I know it's a big challenge to them, but I also want to tell them now, as we go for Christmas, just remember, if you have a student, they are going back on the 9th in school. in January. And I know it will be, but also it gives you better, because what happens is we normally relax and we say we have the Christmas season, we know we'll come and look for money in February. So it's a matter of just the way we have seen the change that he has brought in. And for me, the most important thing is we are going back now to deal with the root cause of why. You remember there was a time we used to ask ourselves, when you come out of Form 4, and the days of those who went to Form 5 and 6, they had an opportunity to be a teacher, an untrained teacher, but you have time to wait to enter campus doing something. Those days came and we just decided to do an ad hoc way. That's why we have very many young people, good papers, but no place to go, because we exceeded the volumes and we didn't have a place to take them. And I'm hoping what Matiang'i now is bringing back is a process where at least you have a number you can manage as they get into campus, and they are not wasted. They are there and they know we are now going into campus. The Form 1 selection, for the first time, we might, for the last 10 or 15, 20 years, we are seeing a Form 1 that will enter. Those who are supposed to go to national schools, nobody is going to cry.
Nobody is going to be denied a chance.
Nobody.
We are looking at about 105 national schools with about 26,000 opportunities. Yes. Yet only about 5,100 got 400 and above. No
parent will complain that my slot was taken to another child who did not pass just because I don't have school fees.
Fair enough.
I hope they will go.
Thank you very much, Beatrice, Senator Beatrice Elachi and Rosa Buyu, my panelists this morning, as we review the news. We'll be taking a short commercial break, and right back after this, where we'll be looking at the misery in our medical facilities.